Welcome back to the podcast, y'all. Today we got a very, very important episode. We are going to be grading and reacting to all the insane moves that happened at this past NBA trade deadline. Um, you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right, the first trade we got to start with, it was the second trade of the deadline, but one of, if not the most crazy trade in NBA history. We have Luka for AD. Um, get the full details of it. So the Mavs haul, they got AD, Max Christie, and a first round pick for 2029. The Lakers got Luka, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris.
You sure it wasn't the Caleb Martin, Quentin Grimes trade?
I mean, this trade just set the world on fire, it seemed like. What were your first reactions when you heard about this?
Shock and awe. I mean, we talked about the last couple of years, Rob Pelinka not pulling the trigger, not being active, not taking a chance. You cannot say that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot to be said about this that haven't hasn't been said already because everyone's talked about it, but it was like me and my friends were joking about how it's like in fantasy football when someone offers you a trade too good to be true and you have to like play it cool, be like, "Oh, let me think about it." And in the back of your head, you're just celebrating like, "Oh, I just scammed this guy." The fact that the Mavs approached the Lakers for this and they didn't shop Luca around is just
Yeah,
crazy.
there's no question they didn't get the haul for Luca that they should have got. Like,
Yeah.
just no one, I don't think anyone disputes that. My problem is what you're trading is two two players. While Luca is on a higher tier than Anthony Davis, that's partly due to age. Um, but what your concern, if you're the Mavs, was, hey, we're not sure this guy's going to stay healthy every year, so let's trade for a guy who doesn't stay healthy every year.
Yeah. Anthony Data Davis.
Yeah, so that blew my mind. I was like, well, wait a second, availability counts. Um, you know, if they were the same age, would you swap Luca for Anthony Davis?
I mean, I probably still wouldn't. I mean, if you look at, he's 25. He's made five first team All NBAs, and he's fresh off leading his team to the NBA Finals, averaging 34, like 9 and 8.
But AD has a title.
Well, not at 25.
No, but he's the difference here is, yes, Luca's is a much better offensive force, but Anthony Davis is a premier defender.
No, I hear you, but I saw a tweet that made me laugh the other day. It said Luca is so good that people are talking about AD like he's Hassan Whiteside.
Right. Yeah, and
There's no
just
argument. If you can be the biggest Luca hater in the world, nobody's gonna put him outside their top five player in the NBA.
no.
And
And I think
AD,
Davis is probably 6, 7, 8, something like that.
no, he's very good. And I think Nico Harrison was saying like it's a win now trade for the next 12 months. I think the Mavs are gonna be better than the Lakers. Maybe 18 months. Because, but it's just the Lakers. The Lakers like, all right, Braun's about to retire. Let's get the next Braun. It's just insane.
Yeah. I have issues with both teams in how they view their future, even short term.
Yeah, but I think the Lakers literally secured somebody who has 10 years of prime basketball ahead of them.
This has nothing to do with Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
This is roster construction. And what do we have? We still have availability issues because right now he's not available. And
He's making his debut on Friday or today, actually.
yeah, okay. Um, they don't, they still lack, and we can get into the other trade they made in a second. They
Cool.
still lack shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they have Austin Reeves. People think Doncic is this knockdown 3-point shooter. He averages 34%. He's
Yeah, they're
below.
very tough though. They're tough.
They're tough, and he's a volume scorer. And LeBron has been shooting better, but you still wonder, okay. And what you've done is you've completely compromised your defense. And we'll
Well,
talk.
yeah,
No, we'll talk about that in a second. But
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there.
your
Um,
defense works. It just is.
yeah, 100%. They probably have a bottom tier defense in the NBA right now. But I mean, you just can't argue. That's why I said the Mavs will probably be better than the Lakers because they have good pieces. AD helps out their defense a lot, but it's just I don't understand Nico Harrison, his thought process. So what would you give each team?
I give the Lakers a B plus A minus, because yes, what they've done is they've now secured their future. They have a path.
Yeah.
Right? We now know, okay, fine, we're going to build around Luka. The Mavs are, gosh, I don't think I can give them better than a C, and I hate doing that because Anthony Davis is a heck of a player. Max Christie, who I've talked crap about in the past, has played better. But to not get both draft picks or Austin Reeves, ugh. Uh, yeah, I don't know how Nico Harrison survives without a title.
I'm gonna give the Lakers an A, and I'm gonna give the Mavs a D minus. I mean, like this is like, bro, for a mega star, this is probably the worst haul I've ever seen, and that's not on AED. I'm just saying no picks.
Right.
You know they were supposed to get Doll Connect, and then the Lakers like, nah, it's too much, and Nico's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
What? Like, what?
yeah, no, it's insane. You want to go to the companion to this trade?
Um, yeah, we can go there right now. So let's get the full details. It's the Mark Williams trade where the Lakers got Williams and they gave the Hornets Don't Connect, Cam Reddish, a pick swap, and an unprotected first round pick in 2031. Um, which is probably not going to be good considering they have Luca.
Yeah, but it's
Oh, I
six.
mean, 6 years away, whatever. But I think I like this trade for the Lakers. I think Mark Williams is a good fit for them. They've been needing a center, like AD was saying before they shipped him out. Um, but I don't like getting rid of Connect so early in his career. And I also think that with Mark Williams, there's two concerns about his defense isn't all that great for a guy who's 7'2" and his back. He's had injuries staying or problems staying healthy. So they kind of gave out a big for another big who has trouble staying healthy. But I mean, if he's healthy and if his defense can progress to where his size should allow him to be, I mean, I think it's a good move.
I mean, how many guys are there in the NBA who you would trade two first round picks for?
Are you
Who?
counting Reddish as one of those first rounders or just Connect?
No, Connect
Yeah.
and
No,
2031.
I mean it's Logan. They got more picks for Mark than Luca, bro.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of guys around you would do that. Obviously, the Jazz got five for Rudy Gobert. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's guys around, but not a guy who's never made an all-star team and has a Zion level of production. And by that I mean he's played in as many games percentage-wise as Zion has career.
Yeah.
He's played in less than 50% of his games. I am a huge Mark Williams fan. You've heard me talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I think he's a key to the Hornets' future. But you're right. The one major knock on him for a player of his size with that length, huge
He
wingspan.
has a taller standing reach than Wemby.
Yeah, he is a poor defender.
Yeah.
So what you got is you traded away your best perimeter defender, who's not always available. This year has been good, knock on wood for him, for AD, for a guy who's not available and not a premier defender.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess Luca needs his running partner, and everybody talks about how he needs a rim guy. I mean, LeBron's not exactly earthbound, but okay.
I do like though. We've seen Luca have success with those lob threats like Lively, and
Yeah.
I think Mark will be good for that. There's a lot of talk around the Lakers getting like Walker Kessler, and I mean this is like not a bad substitution.
I'm shocked that Charlotte did it because these guys don't grow on trees, and his
Yeah.
numbers this year, he's shown progression. But maybe they know something about his long term health. But to get a look at a first round pick like Connect and then bank one. Yeah, it's interesting.
So what do you give in the Hornets and the Lakers here?
The Lakers needed a center. They got a guy who's on Luka's timeline, so I'd have to give them a B. Um, Maybe trending towards a B plus. For the Hornets, I think it's about the same grade. They got a good return, and they're not ready to compete. But these guys don't exactly grow on trees.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Lakers probably a B minus, and then I'll give the Hornets a C minus. I mean, I like Connect, but I think I'll give him a C. I'll give him a C. I just don't
Okay.
like the Lakers getting rid of Connect before All-Star break of his rookie year.
Yeah, well, he's the presumptive rookie of the year now because he's going to get all the
Oh,
shots he
yeah.
wants. All the shots he wants.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go to the next probably biggest trade of the deadline, or one of. We got the Zach LaVine trade. So the Kings.
You're calling it the Zach LaVine trade?
Oh, yeah, yeah, with because there's De'Aaron Fox in it.
It's the De'Aaron Fox trade.
Yeah, I wasn't scrolled up all the way. My bad. So the Spurs got yeah, that's my bad. The Spurs got De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings got Zach LaVine, City Sissoko, three first round picks, three second round picks. And the Bulls got Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Herter, and a first round pick. Um, I'll say it right now. I think the Spurs killed this trade.
Yeah, it's a shockingly small haul for Fox, and that was partly, I think, because Sacramento really needed to replace him with an actual, a guy who can do some of what he does. Um,
I hate Sacramento what they did here because we've already seen what Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan will get you. We saw it for 5 years.
yes, yes.
And they're like, there's when Zach LaVine saw DeMar when he got to Sacramento, there's a video of him. He was like, "You only got 3 months away from me, buddy."
Yeah, Sacramento. I was shocked when they were going to move Fox. I know why they did it. Fox wanted out. I get that. But for a player, I think he's a gem. He's a good defender. He's
Should have been
got
an All-Star this year.
yeah, he's solid size, and we could have said that a couple times in the last couple years. Is a scorer, is a leader.
And I mean, I love the pairing with him and Wemby.
Yeah,
His first game, he had 13 assists there. Um, it just that I think the Spurs, before we even discuss anything about the trade, Spurs, I'm giving them an A plus. Um, they
yeah,
gave up. I mean, the pick this year will probably be not bad for them, but then they gave up a 2027. They should be well into the playoffs then, and then they gave up, like Zach Collins, Trey Jones. Um, but I love
yeah.
their return here.
I mean, guys, they weren't playing, don't have value. You think I'm sure the Bulls thought, oh, we'll just flip Zach Collins or Trey Jones for something, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, you have to give San Antonio an A. The only reason I don't go higher is because Fox does have an extension coming up.
But that was
But
his preferred destination. There's no reason to believe that he's not going to resign.
correct, correct. I do want to point out there was a lot of hype around the Spurs preseason. Chris Paul and Wemby, they're a playoff team. No, they're not, because everyone else on that roster has huge flaws in their game.
Yeah, but they're better than they were last year. And we're
They
also
were
and there's a reason Wemby is has blossomed into a top 10 player. He's actually being fed the ball. Chris Paul knows his job.
no, it's not a question of them being better. They're clearly better.
Yeah, they're competitive.
But when pundits from Kendrick Perkins to others say, oh, they're a playoff team, I'm like, well, no, they're 12th. They're not even in the play-in right now. So calm down. And when people say, oh, the Spurs didn't have to give up a core piece like Keldon Johnson, okay.
Yeah.
You think that's probably because neither team really wanted Keldon Johnson? I'm happy. So I give them an A. I give the Bulls an A plus.
They did get rid of Zach LaVine. Um, they got a first round pick from San Antonio, which could be a lottery this year.
Yep.
I don't know about A plus, but I'll give him a B plus because it's a year too late with the Levine getting rid of.
Well, they couldn't. No one would take this guy last year.
Yeah, I know, but just
They got rid of the Levine contract, and we've been begging them choose a direction
yeah,
because mediocrity is not a pathway, and they chose a direction.
yeah, I agree with you there. And then Kings, what are you thinking?
Oh, C minus.
I'm gonna give him a D. And the thing is, Zach Levine's having a really good year actually,
Yes,
but it's
but
just eh, they got worse. You know what I mean? They did get three first rounders. Only one's protected, but
but
they're far in the future. So
then you gave up Herder, is a valuable
yeah,
player.
Herder's a good player.
Um, yeah, I just don't think they're a better team now, and I it's a shame Fox, put it out there. Hey, I want to go to San Antonio. If he hadn't said that, I think you might have gotten a bigger haul from other teams.
Yeah. All right, let's go into another All-Star on the move, the Chris Middleton trade. So the Bucks got Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., Jericho Sims. The Wizards got Chris Middleton, first round pick AJ Johnson, and a pick swap. And the Knicks got DeLon Wright and cash considerations. I don't even think we need to really grade them. Let's focus on the two major players here. What do you think?
One thing I want to point out is almost every superstar we've talked about so far has one thing in common: availability issues.
Yeah, Chris has
Um,
been really unavailable this year.
in the last 2 years. Look, if we're talking peak Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma, would be historically bad. Chris Middleton is a very solid defender, and he's a
Shot
dynamite,
maker.
but he's not available.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
so to turn that contract into Kyle Kuzma, fine. I do want to put the pause on the Kyle Kuzma. Are we getting playoff Kyle? I look back at his playoff performances. He's only scored, his high games are like 19 and 17 out of
that was like
25.
his rookie year.
Yeah. And that was his rookie
Or
year.
not his rookie year.
Second year. I think it was his second.
Second or third. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So don't sit there and call him playoff Kyle. He had
Never
one,
heard.
two good games. No, it's all over NBA today. Oh, this guy, if they get, you got to forget what he did in Washington. Why?
Yeah, it's
This is important.
I'll say a couple things about this. I think Kuzma, if he can develop into that Bobby Portis role, nice little fit there. But I don't like also the Wizards I mean the Bucks giving up AJ Johnson. Like I'm not saying he's as good as Dalton Connect, but to draft a guy 23rd overall who's a and then trade him when he's actually not even been as that bad in the minutes given to him and in the summer league. He's been much better than I anticipated based on his NBL film and just all that stuff. Like and then like Patrick Baldwin, Jericho Sims, like I think I don't know how old Chris Milton is, and I do definitely have criticism of the Bucks front office for how old their team is. But to trade away a first round 19-year-old for Kuz, I mean, this just doesn't move me at all.
You said Kuzma could turn into Bobby Portis, who coincidentally is on the Bucks roster.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, and
It's like, look, the reason I'm going to tip the trade slightly to Milwaukee is because Kuzma is durable and he's there.
yeah, but he's not
Uh,
even young. He's like 29.
yeah, and Middleton's early 30s, 32, 34, something like that. And someone said, "Oh, they get so much bigger." Kuzma's 6'9", Middleton 6'7", and
Yeah,
Middleton has a crazy wingspan. So stop with this moves the Milwaukee up. No, it doesn't. You
yeah,
talk about tiers. forget the order: Cavs, Celtics, Knicks, and then nobody else.
Yeah. I'll give this Wizards B minus, Bucks C minus. Because Kuz
Uh,
wasn't doing anything for them, and then part of the Wizards, they're all in on the young movement. Might as well get another project, 19 years old. Get rid of Kuzma's big contract. I don't mind it at all.
yeah, I think I'd give both teams a B minus, C plus, and I'd probably tip the Bucks a B minus, the Wizards a C plus. I'd love to do a deep dive on the Wizards. Can somebody explain to me why they're stockpiling Chris Middleton, Malcolm Brogdon? They added another vet this trade cycle. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But I fully expect Chris Middleton to not be on their roster come July.
No, I think he's a buyout guy. The only reason I give the Bucks anything is because Middleton is an availability issue, and Kuzma at least will average, you know, more than a guy who's sitting on the bench. So
Yeah. All right, next big trade, another All-Star on the move. We got the Toronto Raptors getting Brandon Ingram, with the Pelicans getting Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a first round and a pick and a second round pick. Um, I think this for the Raptors is not that confusing, but I don't necessarily. It's hard to grade this for me because I don't think Brandon Ingram is going to be a Raptor for more than 6 months.
yeah,
It's clear that they are full rebuild mode here, getting rid of Bruce Brown's contract there. Um, but I don't even know what to think of this trade, man.
yeah, I they traded Pascal Siakam to get Brandon Ingram, and they're not dissimilar players. Um, they can't afford to re-sign Ingram unless he's going to take a massive uh, Toronto because they have Scotty Barnes, they have Quickly, and they have one other
RJ,
guy.
RJ.
Those are already on high dollar contracts. So did they just want to take Ingram because they think they can get a better trade than New Orleans could have?
I think it's just to get because they're not going to re-sign Ingram, and I think Bruce Brown frees up a little bit more cap room for them because he got paid after that championship. That's all I think it is.
Okay. And they got a pick out of it. So, all
Pelicans
right.
got a pick. Toronto didn't need a pick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. Right.
Pelicans got a second rounder for this year, and the next 2026 first rounder from Indiana. It's gonna be
Protected.
road. No, not protected, but
Yeah. Well, it's a
Indiana they'll make
mid
the
round.
playoffs.
I don't know if that's a foregone conclusion, but uh, the Raptors is a head scratcher. So I'd give them a question mark. Pelicans, they got something for Ingram and they weren't going to get anything for Ingram. So I'd give them a C plus.
Bruce
What
Brown has been like, bro, that talk about a scammer. This guy played one good series and got 90 M's.
Yeah. But hey, yeah, he's getting paid. And I mean, look, he's a guy, if you're gonna buy him out, and I'm the Miami Heat, I sign him immediately.
I'm the
If
Denver Nuggets. I signed him immediately.
I'm the Nuggets, if I'm the Knicks, but he unfortunately can't go to Denver or New York because they are second apron teams. And the rule for a second apron team is a buyout player cannot have been making more than 13 million roughly. So he can't go there, but he'll play somewhere. What confuses me with the Pelicans is all right, you're going nowhere this year. Murray's out. You still don't know what you have in Murray. You have McCollum and Zion. What in the world are you doing with Zion Williamson? Um, did they shop him aggressively? Are they considering cutting him? And why wouldn't you move on from McCollum, who's on a completely different timeline?
Let me say one thing about the Zion before we move on to our next big trade. The fact that the Pelicans haven't given up on an overweight Zion, but the Mavericks gave up on an overweight Luca. Come on. Do they not have they not heard of Ozempic?
Somebody pointed out it's true. New Orleans doesn't get free agents, and Dallas certainly can. So they get a lot of money off of Zion. Maybe that's driving this. That's a that's a franchise that um, you know that I don't know what they're doing. They have some really good young talent, but
I mean,
okay.
it's they got screwed by injuries this year.
No, not this year, but this is not something that couldn't be foreseen.
Yeah, yeah.
Murray aside, but Zion's availability is well known.
All right, so let's get to a blockbuster deal with 5 teams.
Yeah.
The Jimmy trade. We get so the Warriors coming away with Jimmy Butler. The Miami Heat, after all the final moves, Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first round pick for this year. The Pistons are getting Schroeder and Lindy Waters. The Jazz are getting KJ Martin and Josh Richardson, and the Raptors are getting PJ Tucker and a second round pick. The main players in this trade are obviously the Warriors and the Heat. Now, I want to say, being a Miami Heat fan, it sucks to see one of my favorite players go, especially how it got messy at the end. But the Warriors got absolutely scammed signing Jimmy Butler to the extension. Next year, he is going to be the highest paid player in the NBA until the other extensions for the other players kick in. He's going to be the first player making 60.
Yeah.
They'll be paying a 37-year-old Jimmy Butler $60 million. Their window
Uh,
is already closed. This is
yeah. Well, they don't have any contracts coming up this summer. Oh, that's right, Jonathan Kaminga. I'll
plays the
say
same
this:
position as Jimmy.
they they got out from the Wiggins contract, which I thought wasn't great for them. So,
Is Andrew Wiggins the best A Wiggins in the league? My
I think
dog
now is, but
Aaron just dropped 40 the other day.
there's times when little brother, no,
They're not related.
I know, I'm just saying. Um, okay, the Warriors needed a second guy. He doesn't exactly fit what they needed because they still now they crazy to say it. This is shocking that this would ever be the case. The Warriors don't have a lot of shooting. Yes, they have Curry and they have Healed, but the other guys don't shoot the ball. And Jimmy Butler, I know they were showing highlights of key threes he made. He is he is a younger, more athletic version of Joe Johnson at this stage. He will get you buckets. He will ISO and be great for you
No,
and good defense.
I watched a pretty in-depth video about Jimmy recently, and I think that to expect him to return to playoff Jimmy is a big reach. I think he would have been a great fit in Memphis, playing in spots where he doesn't need to be the creator, because I think that's when he really thrives, is other than in those big moments where he doesn't have to really create his own shot for others, and he can pick his cuts, he can pick the offensive rebounds, he can pick his post ups. So I don't think to expect him to be able to carry the second load on the offense at 35 years of age after some injury concerns. Um, I think we're well past seeing Jimmy, you know, be at that level.
I would. It's hard to disagree. I still think he's got some significant gas left in the tank. I just don't know if you add a guy whose play style is completely different and kind of resembles a little bit like Kaminga at times. They're more slashers. Um, Now, if you have Curry and Healed as your grenade catcher launcher, um, that's pretty good. It surprised me, and I think it's going to disappoint Golden State fans that they weren't able to add Vukovic because he would have been ideal in this lineup. He's a spacer. He gives them some height.
Were they talking about that?
Yes. and they had still the assets to do it. They could have moved Kevon Looney and another guy, maybe Gary Payton, as a salary dump, but they couldn't get it done. That would have been okay. We're all in on this season. I agree. The extension is crazy, but the only way to get Jimmy Butler was to do that.
Yeah, I just
Jimmy
disagree
Butler,
with your timeline.
Jimmy Butler is a magician at getting out of situations where he doesn't want to be.
Is he a magician or is he a he just walks into a room and pulls the grenade in his mouth?
Right, but he's gotten into some really good positions, and I loved what he gave to the Heat. I'm sad it ended that way, but it was headed that direction.
Yeah.
I'd give the Warriors a B
I give him a
because
C.
they what they give up. Uh,
Yeah, they didn't give up much, but they also had to take on $120 million worth of money. I give
True.
it a C. I don't mind the Heat package, especially with how the Jimmy situation was going. It's not like there was a ton of leverage there. Kyle Anderson's whatever. I like Andrew Wiggins. And then I think Davion Mitchell off the bench is a good Heat guard. Uh,
Okay.
with his defensive intensity, and then the protected first round pick. I don't know the protections on it,
It's
but
top 10. I think it's top 10.
well,
So
if the Warriors make the play in, it could be a not bad pick.
yeah, it could be around 15, 16. And I'm sorry, it might be top 12. The Heat owe a top 10 protected to OKC. And that doesn't look like that's going to convey because the
Yeah,
Heat are sixth. Um, I don't think that they were asking for a veteran to replace Butler, a young talent, and picks, and they got some of the replacement. I mean, Wiggins, I think, could actually fit in pretty nicely with this roster,
yeah.
and no young talent to speak of, and one pick. Okay, they were hampered, but are they better today with Wiggins, who's going to play, than Jimmy Butler, who's going to be selling coffee this year?
Yeah.
So,
I give the
uh,
Heat a B minus.
yeah, I was going to say C plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into probably the last trade we'll talk about, and unless you have any more that we can mention afterwards, but we got the DeAndre Hunter trade. So the
Yeah.
Cavs were able to pick up Hunter for Karis LeVert, Niang, 3 second round picks, and 2 pick swaps. I really like this deal for the Cavs. I've heard a lot of people say it's an overpay. I disagree. I think they're a top 3 team in the NBA, and DeAndre Hunter is a great fit. I think he's just a perfect slot in guy right now.
Right. Because the Isaac Okoro situation hasn't worked out. They needed
And Ty Jerome, man, championship link up right there.
they have they needed a perimeter 3-and-D guy. Hunter hasn't been shooting the ball well. What's confusing to me, because I really value Hunter as a player, why has Atlanta wanted to trade this guy so much in the last 2 years?
Yeah,
Uh, who do you have on your roster that you think Dyson Daniels? Okay, but he's not
he's a good defender.
Hunter.
He's a really good defender.
Very good defender, but he doesn't score. I mean, Hunter's averaging 19 a game. Um, I, yeah, this is just a head scratcher. Again, they didn't give up much. LeVert is not a road.
I
I
think
mean,
Levert's a good player, but
I
to
like
get
Niang. I like Niang, but I like him on a championship level team. Like he would fit great in Denver.
yeah,
Really.
he's a good rotation guy on those teams. But I think this kind of moves me for the Cavs. Like
Yeah.
I really like it. Um, I'll
But
give the
none of
Cavs.
oh,
Well,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, none of the other contenders, either had to make a move or had
Yeah,
the ability to make a move. Like Denver, they you can't trade a bag of Denver Nuggets balls for a player. And
I
Boston
mean,
didn't
the Thunder got assets on assets, but they don't need to make a move.
Yeah, I think Presti was a little bit burnt by that Hayward deal last year.
They don't need, but I mean, they got Chet coming back and they're killing it. There's no need for them to
Yeah,
change. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, I'll give the Cavs here. I'll give them an A. Hawks, I'll give them a C minus.
I agree with the Hawks. They didn't get a first out of this, right? They got
No, they got
seconds.
3 seconds.
Um, I would give the Cavs B, a B. I like Hunter.
Yep.
Um, yeah, fair.
All right. Well, I think we covered all the trades that I wanted to talk about at least.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of surprises. Chicago didn't have the fire sale. I don't understand. I mean, yes, Utah has the one of the second worst records in the league, but why you have assets there?
Well,
Like,
Danny
what
Ainge, it seemed like he was hopping in every trade. He was like a crack addict. He just had to get a second round pick.
does Jordan Clarkson have pictures of Danny Ainge and the entire Jazz ownership? Because
Yeah, he's been
he's
there for a while.
and he's coveted. Like maybe he just loves the Utah lifestyle. It's hopping, but why they didn't get it down? And I think what we have to probably end with today is the biggest trade rumor that never was.
KD?
Exactly. And I love watching the NBA Today recap, and there's trade deadline show, and there's 2 minutes left, and Shams has breaking news. Uh, Suns announced they won't trade KD,
They
and
said like 20% of the NBA hit up the Suns about KD.
the Golden State former GM goes, "Wait, that's breaking news. There's 2 minutes left. Where are you going to trade KD?"
Yeah.
But I know he likes Phoenix, but you've now been, thrust out there. Where does he go?
Yeah. And do you know when his contract expires?
He's got one more year, and that might be on an option.
I mean, I think his next contract will probably be his last too.
It's not like he hasn't been producing.
No, but it just at this age, I mean, and he's had injuries in the past.
I was very surprised to hear he did not want to go back to Golden State because
Yeah.
it,
Draymond, man. Draymond's ruined everything. The pool, KD, man, it's all his fault, man.
I do want to touch. I can't get enough Wizards
All right,
talk at this
wait.
point.
We got 1 minute left.
Jordan Poole claims that the only reason he wasn't an All Star is politics. Wow. Okay. He is going to be a future president of the United States because that is the biggest spin I've ever heard. How many players on the entire All Star team, both leagues, would have to get hurt before Jordan Poole would be selected? The answer: all of them, and
Yeah.
then some.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have not made it big with this podcast yet, so we can't afford Zoom Premium. If you want longer Zoom meeting videos, please subscribe so we don't have to rush out of here. If you disagree with some of our grades, please let us know in the comments below, and we will see y'all on the next video. Some big college basketball March Madness stuff coming up. Anything to say?
A Wizards recap.
Peace.